Good day, folks. This is Greg Judy at Green Pastures Farm, and the cows are happy to be moving today, and that's unbelievable. That's Grandma. She's running. 20-year-old cow. She's running. She's happy to be going into the new paddock. We just moved about 375 head into this new pasture, and you can tell they're anxious to get going. So what we've got here is winter stockpile. we've gave them probably, oh gosh, there's 4 acres up there on that hill. And what we're doing is we're making sure we're not taking it all, because this part of the farm is actually the sheep. The sheep winter in here, and so we've got to make sure we don't take an excessive amount of stockpile, because we want to leave the sheep a good grazing in here when we leave. But the animals all look good. They got really good hair coats on them. They're packing super condition for, basically we're looking at well, we're a week from Christmas. It's cold out here. We've had such good luck with our rock skirts that I had another load brought back here. And this is a really nice pond we call, the landowners call this T-Ease Pond. And Steve's dad built this, and I don't know, several years before he sold it. It's just a beautiful, beautiful pond. And this is the skirt area right here. We don't let them drink off the dam, but the new skirt's going to go in right here. And so from that tree right there, about 4 or 5 feet, clear over to right here. We want to stay away from this great big tree as much as possible. But right in here, we're going to be putting in a skirt. And so the cattle can come in here and drink, and they're not going to tear up T-Ease Pond. It is a beautiful pond, and it's got really good water in it, and we're only on it for, half a day in the summertime. In the winter, we may, a full day, morning and night, by tightening the animals up a little bit. But we're going to have a permanent wire all the way around this lake, and we're going to have a switch on it so that when Steve and his family come up to go fishing, they can just turn the switch off and treat it like it's cold, because it will be cold. And Isaac, Ben, why don't you all grab that 4-wheeler and go ahead and catch the mineral feeder up. I'll meet y'all up there on top of the hill. Thank you all. Yeah, Steve's dad actually planted switchgrass on this dam. And you can still see it. It's here. That was planted in, golly, 1995, 94. So it's been here a while. So, you get that stuff started, it stays around. It's pretty good grass. The cattle like it. Here's the seed head on it. Of course, the seed's already pretty much gone. You can see there's the seed head. The seed's falling off of that. Hold still. The wind's blowing this morning. That's how you can tell if it's switchgrass. Just look at the seed head. It's got a real feminine hair, angel hair like type top on it. But I like it. It's a good grass. It is a warm season, and it does pretty well here in Missouri. So we've got this sign. We've already grazed off the right side of this farm. So what we did is we made a big circle in here, and we're completing the circle today. And then tonight, we'll leave them on this paddock and just give them 1 bale, just to kind of supplement them, make sure we don't limit them, and kind of go from there. We'll actually be leaving this farm. We'll be leaving this farm in the morning, and we won't be back here until April. But we're going to leave quite a bit of stockpile here for the sheep. The beautiful thing about the sheep is This particular farm, or this particular paddock, has a lot of timber in it. And the sheep go in that timber, especially in the wintertime. And there's a lot of browse in there, a lot of acorns, and those sheep can clean that up. Those boys are awesome. They just instinctively know what to do. That's awesome. When you get interns that well trained and just have a good head on their shoulders. Get my vocabulary right here. This is another little piece that we did when Johnny was up here working on this pond in the skirt. I just had him. Steve had always wanted to do something with this. And there was about, I don't know, 1,000 little baby hickory trees in here. You can see the stumps, or what was left of them. They were little bitty guys. You couldn't walk through here. And so we pushed it up in that pile there, left the nicer trees. We got plenty of trees. Left the nice young black oak there. We've got black oak sprinkled out across that ridge over there. And then we put the seed down, we hayed it. Put the hay down. If you don't put this hay down, hay's a lot cheaper than straw. And I can unroll it, and then the boys and I fork it. And this is going to make some pretty good grazing next year. But, well, these cows went right to that grass, didn't they? They're not goofy. They know where to, they know where their butter is put on the bread at, and it's right out here. I've got a problem spot on this paddock. It's been there ever since I've leased this farm. And so I finally decided I'm going to tackle it head on. So it's just solid broom sedge. And there's only one area. And I think it's because the ground just doesn't have any topsoil on it. This one little spot. And so we're going to just nuke it with hay tonight. And there's other stuff coming in and out, but when we did this pond over here and put all this mulch down and seed, I had that whole pond area there lined because it was cedars and the soil is very acidic. You could tell by the thousands of little cedars growing underneath the tree. Well, I had that lime truck over here. I had him come over here and hit this red grass. And so he just went back and forth on that about twice. And it's going to be an interesting experiment. So we hit it with the lime. We're going to hit it with hay. And then we're going to let the cattle just hammer it. I think it's going to take care of it. Kind of like a doctor giving his prescription to a patient. I can look at broom sedge and go, I know what that needs. I've done this before and it works. You can see it in the distance right there. It's not a very big area, maybe half an acre. But you can tell the rest of this paddock is looking really good. I mean, look at this. This is a sheep paddock. Cattle don't get on this paddock as much as they do on the rest of the farms because we try and save all this for the sheep. But I mean, I think it really benefits you to have both species. And if I was starting out, you know, you got to go with the species that you like the best. And a lot of it's dependent on your acreage. How much land do you have? If you got a really small acreage, you don't want to, you know, you may not need to be running cattle on it because cattle require more grass. So if you've only got 10 acres, I'd be looking at sheep. And then down the road, if you want to do like maybe one grass-fed steer or something, you could put him in there with the sheep. But you can run a whole lot more if you're limited on land. If you've got a decent amount of land, then I'd be looking at cattle, complemented with a few sheep. Oh, this is, this is December, almost January. Today's the 21st, I believe. And look at this. You wonder why the cows are in good condition. They're not just eating Kentucky 31 fescue, folks. They're eating some clover in there too. And I mean, we've been getting hard frost, but that's the key, is to have your stockpile tall enough that when you go into winter, it doesn't look like a putting green. And that fescue will help insulate that clover, and it'll stay green. It'll stay green a long ways into the winter, and that's because it's not getting the frost hitting it directly. It's hitting the fescue. It's almost like having a greenhouse around it. Look at these animals. Do they look like they're healthy and happy? The bulls up there are playing this morning. They're tussling. Well, there's a good looking bull. 932. You're gonna make a dandy. He's just a young'un. We've got around 45 bulls in here, and people say, well, Greg, fight and they'll kill each other and they'll stifle and break each other's legs. These are teenagers right there. They're not, all they're doing is having fun. We don't see any bulls just get with it and try and kill each other. We just don't, it just doesn't happen. And that's because these bulls have been born in this herd from little calves. They just don't fight. And we do take them out. They'll come out March 1st and they'll go back in the herd July 1st. That gets us out of most of our winter calving from January. I call winter calving, December, January, February. Those are the three nasty ones you really don't want to be calving in. And we still get a few, not like we did. We don't even want to think about those days. It's bad. It's bad. Golly, this feels pretty good this morning, feeding an animal a stockpile of fescue, and you don't have to put out, hardly any hay. We put out some dry matter up here around this pond. One old bale that they've got to walk over it to get back to water, and we're going to look at the water skirt. You won't see anything drinking yet because they've only been in here 5 minutes. But we're pleasantly surprised how well that skirt's working down here. We don't have the PVC pipe on this one yet. We've been busy. We got it. We got the pipe. We got everything made. But the boys and I came in here. I'll show you what we did. Just as a temporary watering skirt. We've got the rock in, but we didn't get the PVC, so we just took a reel and we stretched it across the skirt. And bulls are having fun, aren't they? Y'all want to come down to the water skirt? I want y'all to tell me how y'all did that fence down there. What do y'all think about it? Here's the bale that we unrolled this morning. It's a pretty mediocre hay. Yeah, it was baled pretty late, but it's carbon. It's the same. Yeah, it's worm food. That's right. It's the same hay that we put down here. Once Johnny cleared all this small brush out of here, and somebody was talking the other day on my YouTube saying, why don't you just put goats in here? Well, we could, but we wouldn't be able to keep them on the farm. And this is a deer hunter owned farm, and the goats really compete with the deer on browse and everything else. So that's another reason. Anyway, here's our rock skirt. What'd you all do there on that fence? I noticed you got some timeless posts in there.
Yep, we ran a single wire, about 28 inches. We have a brace post, which is fiberglass. I think that's a 3/4 inch. There's some that are inch.
Yep.
They're 5 footers.
Yep.
Driven them in the ground 2.5 feet. And stretched, we got 2.
What you got here?
That's a tensioner.
Okay.
So we've got 2 of those.
I like your knot you put on that, guys.
Yeah. Hangman.
Call that a hangman's knot? You don't have to put a crimp on there.
Nope.
You like those?
I do. It's kind of nice.
Well, I notice y'all getting pretty fancy with this stuff. Look at this. I love that. Look at that. They made a hangman's knot against the post, and they came out and made their little loop. That's to hang the wire on when we get our skirt in here. And then they also did another hangman's knot. That's pretty cool. And then you went through the middle of the timeless.
Yep.
That's a 4-footer, and that's what they call a 1 3/4. So it's in the ground probably 1.5 feet.
18 inches.
I wonder if I can pull that out of there. Oh my gosh. You can't pull that out.
No. That's what they want you not to do.
Yeah.
They want you to pull them out.
That's what they want you not to do. I like that phrase.
So this is that might still be a 3/4.
And that's a 1 inch.
That's a 1 inch.
Yeah.
So that's a stouter
Yep.
post.
We've got a stouter one now in stock. It's the sucker rod. They're 1.25 inches. And boy, they are beefy posts. I mean, you can use those even for H-brace if you wanted to build like, sheep fence or something. So you've got timeless going in between. Anywhere you have a bend in here, you've got a fiberglass post.
Mm-hmm.
And that's for what?
Just the timeless is just a line post.
Yep.
So these are what you can, the corners it gives you your stability of the fence.
Gotcha. So if you have a bend and it's pulling against the wire, that's where you've got a fiberglass post in.
Yep.
I remember giving you all this project,
Yep.
and I came back and I was coming over here to check y'all out, and y'all met me about halfway. I'm like, well, we ought to get to working on that fence.
Did you get all that stuff hauled
Yeah.
out of there? Or
Yeah, and you already had it built.
Yeah.
You already had it
It
built.
helped that day.
Yeah,
One
we
of the
did.
intern applicants this year.
Yeah.
building it.
This is a nice pond though, and it looks more like a park now. We've cleared out all the brush. We brought in the seed. We just put down some fescue with our spin seeder, and then we all kind of teamed up and put the hay down. You get 4 guys on pitchforks, it doesn't take too long, does it?
That's a lot of hay though that we spread.
Yeah.
Yeah, we put,
Between the 4 of us, wasn't it?
was there 4 bales went on this?
Something like that.
I got 3 or 4.
Yeah. But how would you get hay on that if you didn't have that baling roller? I mean, you got to negotiate all those trees.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty tough.
I don't think you would. Work.
So the cattle have been on this. How many days did we have them on that other side over there?
2 on that other side because we kept them on each paddock for a full day.
So 2 full days. This skirt has had pressure put on it, and what's that?
It was wet too.
Yeah, it was wet. We'd had some rain, and so this skirt really got a workout, and it's holding up really well. The cattle still have to stand here on bank and reach their nose out in that deep. You can see how deep that water is out there. It's deep. They got to reach their nose under that. So the skirt that we're going to have is going to be a little bit further past that wire. But that's rock. There's rock out there. The cattle still have to stand on rock. So I don't know. I really like this. I know the landowners prefer this versus the mud, and we certainly are gonna reap benefits from it, from not losing animals getting drowned or stuck in the mud. I've had a few get stuck in mud over the year, and folks, when you pull one out, it's not a pretty scene. Most of the time, it takes them weeks to get up because you've stretched them so bad getting them out of the mud, and sometimes they never get up. So don't let your animals get stuck in mud. Just prevent that if you can. But so y'all moved the wire, the other reels over there now. So the cattle are going to be coming in from this direction to this same skirt. So this is pretty neat. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. It's chilly out here, and we need to get going. And everyone hit that subscribe button on the way out, and we're going to see you all down the road. Oh, and don't forget to hit the like.